Hey, everybody. It is the Monday edition of the Angela Ray Show. Of course, it was a very emotional weekend across the country. And we hope that you have been well, despite the challenges and that we saw across our nation. We're going to give you all a chance to get on the broadcast. Just want to say thank you for everyone who will be catching this during the replay if you can't make the broadcast live. And as always, whenever you get on, go ahead and chime in the comments to let me know where you are listening from tonight. Hey, Josette. Thanks for tuning in tonight. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our Ray of Motivation moment. So, for tonight's Ray of Motivation moment, I just want to ask you, are you using your GPS? So, a few years ago, I had a friend who was traveling and gone to a conference. And after the conference, she headed to the hotel, back to the hotel, checked out, and then went to the airport. In fact, she arrived at the airport 5 hours early, which is great for her because she is normally running late. And she figured she would catch up on some work, pulled out the laptop bag, got ready to plug in the laptop and open the bag and realized she did not have her laptop. And just as she was about to panic, someone emailed her and it came to her phone saying, "Hey, I have your laptop and I'll ship it to you." Someone from the conference had found it. Apparently, she left it at the conference. She had arrived at the airport 4 hours early. So she thought, well, instead of me waiting for someone to ship it to me because I really need my laptop, as many of us do on a daily basis, she decided she was going to rent a car, drive back to the hotel, meet that person, and get her laptop. So that's what she did and got that laptop, was headed back. And just as she was about to get back to the airport, she saw Morton's Steakhouse. And she thought, I can grab a steak to go, then go straight to the airport. That way I'll have food for the plane. But something told her she didn't have enough time. It didn't make sense to her because she was looking at the clock in the rental car and she had plenty of time. So she went ahead and got that to go steak. And when she got back to the airport, she realized the time on the rental car was about 15 minutes behind real time, 15 minutes behind the time that was on her cell phone. And all of a sudden, she went into a panic. And as fate would have it, she missed her flight back home after originally arriving to the airport 4 hours early. Now, I'll ask you, how often are you using your GPS? No, this isn't about whether or not she knew exactly how to get to the airport. This is about using that guidance, providing suggestions, that inner voice, that still small voice that kind of gives you guidance on a daily basis that we so often dismiss. Particularly during this time when there are so many things that are going on in our country, so many different emotions. It's very important to get still and listen to that still small voice, your GPS. And that is today's Ray of Motivation moment. Well, June is Black Music Month. And so we kick off a new series this week interviewing music artists. And so I'm really excited to welcome tonight's guest. You probably have seen her on the big screen as well as the small screen. She made this national, bursting on the national scene in the movie The Color Purple as the choir soloist. But her career has spanned decades since that time. She started when she was 2, if you're trying to figure out the age thing, by the way. She's been seen on shows like Devious Maids. She's been in The Haves and the Have Nots, in the movie Hidden Figures. And we're excited to have her here tonight. So please help me welcome Maria Howell. Maria, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Angela. Good to see you.
It
Good to
is
see you.
good to see you too. So I was talking at the top of the broadcast about so many things that are happening in our country right now. And with you being both an actress as a singer, I like to think about songs and music bringing us together, music providing healing. And so, what are your thoughts on that?
It's the absolute. You hit the nail on the head with songs. A lot of us have different ways that we can have things to say about what's going on in our world, especially with the state of the world right now. And I know that my platform is music and acting. And right now, since we've had the pandemic, I've not been on anybody's TV set or commercial set. I've been doing singing and voiceover work. So I have to use my voice in the ways that I think God intended for me to use them. And so I'm specifically thinking of songs I can do each week on live stream. I've done about 12 live streams, or it will be 12 this Wednesday, consecutively. And I'm always thinking of a song I can enter in that may touch somebody's heart. So yeah, music is very, very important right now. And then that's the one universal language that we all have. It plays a big, big part in the whole landscape and tapestry of our lives.
It definitely does. There have been times that I've seen people who don't even know each other. They can be at a football game or in the park or at a baseball game, and all of a sudden a song comes on, and before you
Mm.
know it, complete strangers are all kind of in tune, moving to the beat of the rhythm of the night. So yeah, I think music is definitely that. Now, your career, your acting career has been amazing. But if I remember correctly, I heard you share a story about how you actually got the role in The Color Purple. And although you auditioned for it, it was your music talent that opened that door. You want to share that with us?
I'll be as concise as possible, but it was a simple story of going to a cattle call, and things inside of me that say, "Hmm, no, that means not this way." I'm a little bit of a persevering personality. So we were at this cattle call in Greensboro, North Carolina, and there was a slight change. I don't tell this that much, but there's an element of this story where I almost didn't go to that audition. People talked me into it because I was painfully bashful about getting in front of people and singing and acting on that, any of that kind of stuff by myself anyway. So we were at this cattle call. About 3,000 people had been seen that day. And I
Mm.
think it was like 8 hours later. I mean, you making friends within the group and everything. And when they said, okay, we'll have this group, this row of people come up on the stage, we went up on stage. That was it. And I'm like, I knew nothing about singing in this movie. I hadn't even read the book, The Color Purple, at that point. And so they told us to go off stage, and that was it. And I'm going, I've been waiting 8 hours, and this is it. So a few days had, left, and I kind of hung around, kind of not hung around. And I went up to the casting director and I asked her, I said, look, would you please keep my photo on file? Simple as that. And I said, oh, and by the way, I sing too. And so she was like, well, what do you know? So I cupped my hand to my mouth and sang in her ear because I was bashful, saying, God bless child. And then she goes, oh, well, do you know any gospel? I'm like, sure. She said, well, go and work something out, come back. And I think her assistant, the person that was helping, took me to the side and we worked something out. I got back up on stage by myself this time, not a group. And that
Hmm.
was actually my test. And I didn't even know, I was so green. I knew nothing. And so that was a screen test. And the next day I got a call asking me to be a part of the church choir. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I want to be in a movie. And then I got a chance to audition again for the spot. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's how that happened.
Well, you and I are both originally from North Carolina, so I remember when they had the casting call. I think at the time, the casting call that I saw was going to be in Durham, North Carolina, and I was already interested in acting at the time. And I remember trying to talk my parents to taking me to Durham and not knowing what this movie was going to be about. Nobody was interested in making that
Mhm.
drive. But it is amazing to hear your story in creating almost your own opportunity and adding, by the way, I sing, and letting them know everything that you are able to do.
Yeah, I've always been told that I'm a quiet fire, and I'm a lot more
Mm.
confident now, of course. But when I was growing up, I had a lot of mouth at home. I, I'm the oldest of six kids, and so I was always in a leadership role. But when I got out, I had little confidence. I had low self-esteem when it came to competing with other people. Or maybe it was just I was so hard in competition. I didn't like competition. Maybe that's what the deal was. And so I didn't
Okay.
try to. I was never in beauty pageants or any of those kinds of things because I just felt like I wasn't good enough for that kind of stuff. I knew I wanted to sing, I knew I wanted to act. So yeah, there was always this thing inside of me saying, if you can't do it that way, try another way. I had parents that were just always pushing us anyway. So that probably was an attribute, and contributed to. They were my first directors because they always told me what to do and I followed rules. But
Right.
yeah, I think that's what that was about.
So you just released another music project in last year in 2019. Talk a little bit about that, because the music project that you released, it's with a guy that you've been working with for a while, correct?
Yes, with Noel Friedline. We've been working together for about 10 years. And we met. Someone hired us individually. I do an annual concert in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Beckler Museum of Modern Art. And we met on that gig 10 years ago. They brought me in from LA, and Noel was the piano player, and it was like instant. I want to work with him. And we just started working together on the side. And here we are 10 years later. And we've done our very first annual Christmas show this past year. And we've released 2 CDs together. Yeah, he's an amazing, amazing musician in person. So good to work with him.
So, talk a little bit about non-traditional ways to distribute music, because you all released a CD project together, and you're not on Arista, you're not on Epic Records, but yet you are still making a living with your talent and with your gift.
Hmm. Well, you have to, especially in this day and time, you have to think of being outside the box. Um, and since streaming is such a huge part of what we do now, we sell that. Now, let's not take away the traditional way, because every time I do live concerts, people want something hard copy because my audience is that audience. They want some hard copy, but we are also entering into the whole streaming audience. So we release singles visually and audibly on platforms like Spotify, platforms like of course, what was the other one? I think they're going out now, CD Baby, but also Apple Music. Anyone, we
Okay.
are on Deezer, so many streaming platforms that you can stream our music and you can also stream our videos as well. So that's just the way it is now. If you don't know how to you don't know how to embrace digital, you're kind of going to be left behind. That's what it is.
And so you mentioned that you have been doing this concert, this streaming concert from home every week.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for the past few weeks during this sheltering at home. How can people find out
So
about that and watch that? Because it's coming up this Wednesday, right? The next one.
we've been doing it since March 18th. I remember flying in from LA on March 12th, and I was going to be here about a week, excuse me, in North Carolina, and I was headed to London to do another film. And I had a gig that weekend, and I'll never forget. I said, "Okay, things are changing. We got to do something live streaming." And then 3 days, I think 2 or 3 days later, everything just started shutting down. And thank God we had.
Hmm.
So we got together and we did it to help raise funds for these area musicians. And because I'm from this area and this is where I started my singing career, I felt the need to be involved here. So that's what we did. We started it out, didn't know how long it was going to last, whether 30 minutes or an hour, and it ended up being an hour. We had, up to this point, we've had over 17,000 viewers on that first live stream. And people can find us by going to my Facebook page or going, we collaborated with Middle C Jazz because Noel and I opened up the jazz club, the new jazz club here in Charlotte. So that was a natural segue to collaborate and help keep them present actually. Cause once they had to shut all the venues down, we continued on. We only did 2 engagements there at the, and then we went on to Noel Friedline's home and did it there. And everything is set up and we've been going strong. And like I said, they can find us on my Facebook page. I think I lost.
Actually, I think it might be your internet connection. If you can still hear me, you are still in the
Okay,
broadcast,
I
Maria, but your screen
lost you there.
actually is
You
frozen for a
can.
moment. Okay, so we can't hear you right now, and you are frozen on the screen. We may let you log, maybe if you log back off and log back on, that might work because you're completely frozen right now. And I'm not sure if you can hear me, Maria. So if you are watching the replay, if you're still with us live, we are experiencing some minor technical difficulties. We're going to give Maria an opportunity to come back into the broadcast. Let's see if she's back on now. Okay, so we're going to give Maria, we'll see if she has an opportunity to kind of see if it's her internet connection. Could just be she's in a bad area. I mentioned at the top of the broadcast that June is Black Music Month. And Black Music Month was actually started in 1979 by President Jimmy Carter. And, since that time, people all over the world have taken the time to reflect on Black music artists and what their contributions have meant to their everyday lives, everything from R&B to jazz to gospel, even some of the more non-traditional genres, even a little rock and roll. So we're going to see if Maria is back yet. Just wanted to provide that historical context about June being Black Music Month. Maria, if you can hear me, definitely let me know. Oh, I thought I heard something there. There we go. We can see you, but you do seem to be stuck again. There we go. It's moving. Hey Jane. Hey Sora Jane Garrett in Chapel Hill.
Can you hear me?
We can, and everything seems to be going well right now. It's interesting with this technology. I was watching an episode of The View a week or two ago, and of course, all of the hosts on The View, they're doing like you and I. They are broadcasting from home. And at the top of the show, Sunny couldn't get on because she was having difficulties from home. And, after the first commercial break, she was right back there with Whoopi and Megan and Joy. So, yeah, I'm in good company. We have a few technical difficulties, but if the stars and hosts of The View are having some technical difficulties, hey, I think it's okay that we have a couple every now and then too. Do you remember what you were saying though before we had a couple difficulties?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, fine. Okay, I had to
Hey,
put these
Michelle
glasses
Coleman.
on so I can see it.
Not a
Ooh, this
problem. Not a problem. I think you were telling us about the series. You were just finishing up telling us about the series that you started on Wednesdays. You were talking about how you all, I think the first broadcast had over I think you said 17,000 views. And you were using it as a way to raise money for the jazz club because, of course, people aren't able,
For jazz.
singers, musicians, they aren't able to go out to make money right now.
And so, like I said, this is going to be our 12th one in a row on Wednesday, which is June the 3rd, because I'm losing track of dates
Hmm.
here. But
Aren't we
it's
all?
called, you know, it's called Notes from Middle C. You can go to Notes from Middle C or Middle C Jazz on Facebook. Just
Okay.
C Jazz. I have notices and things of that nature up. So people can just hit a link, whether it's on my
Hmm.
Insta, Twitter uh, page or just on all that stuff.
You still there, Maria? Think you got okay. Sounds like you're back. We had a little moment of pausing
I
again.
think we're having a
Talk a little bit about talk a little bit about how you've been able to marry your acting career with your music career in longevity. Because you started off singing in a movie, and here we are some years later, and you're still singing and you are still acting.
hmm you're I manage the two.
How you've managed to keep them together, because there's some people who decide, oh, I'm going to take a 2 years off to focus on acting, and I'm not going to do anything with music. Or some people who say, you know what, I really want to focus on my music career, I'm going to go on tour, and then they don't take any acting projects. And so while I know that you can't be on set and on a concert at the same time, you've managed to be able to keep them both going. So I just wanted to know how you've made those things work for you together.
Well, I think it's a combination of a couple things. First and foremost, I didn't tell myself I had to choose between one or the other because I'm so used to hustling, and I hate to use that word with me, but that's just it. I don't mind. I'm not lazy, and I always say I can do all of the things that I love, which come from the singing, the acting, the voiceover work. Is just in the same day, and sometimes I do several things in the same day. Like I just, you know what I mean? On
Right, I do.
I just don't look at my life like I have to choose one over the other. I just say, this is the season to do this. This is the season to do that. Oh, I may end up doing two or three things on the same day because I have been on gigs, on singing gigs, and I'll slip away to a quiet corner and do a voiceover audition. Yeah, all that. I have also been on a show and slip away and do an audition for another show, or I'm in between scenes, I'm booking gigs. It's I don't know, it's just me. Maybe that's my rhythm, and I think everybody does the same, and maybe that's just my little naivete. I don't know. I've never really thought too much about it except to say I'm working. I work, and I got to do this and I got to do that, and then there come these times when there are lulls that you either rest your body and your mind, or you
Hmm.
say, okay, I need to plan what's coming next. I look at it like I just keep going. I'll be honest with you. That much thought.
Uh, what do you have a maybe one of those crazy days that some of us could not even imagine? And I'll give you an example. Back when I was still writing for the newspaper, I had I think I was out at, and my beat was I was the society columnist. So
Hmm
the events that I covered were like, black tie, wine dinners, things like that. So I was in a play at the time. And so I'd gone to some black tie event, and literally I'm hustling to get to the theater because, you need to be there an hour, before showtime. And I'm running through the stage door, and the director just kind of turns and looks at me because I'm in like full regalia, heels. I have the rhinestones, and I was in a period piece. So then I had to go and put, all this crazy. And he's looking at me like, where are you coming from? I was like, don't ask. Let me get dressed. Let me get ready. And I remember that day just being one of the crazy ones because earlier in the afternoon, I had gone to more of a community based event that I couldn't wear the same thing at that event that I could wear to the formal event. And then, of course, I ended up at the theater before the night was over. Do you have one of those specific days that you remember?
Oh yeah, there was one period in my life I felt like Superwoman, and the reason why is because I was in Atlanta. I had just come from Pan, and when I was singing at Sambuca Jazz Cafe. I'll never forget this. Every Monday night for 9 straight years. For the first
Mm,
year, my coworkers didn't know that I was a singer because I usually enter into situations, especially if it's a non-artistic situation. I don't tell people what
right.
I do. I
Mm-hmm.
have a degree, so I
Maria, I think we have you're a little stuck again. So if you're able to hear me, the last thing I heard you say was when you enter into a non-artistic situation, you don't necessarily share that what you do outside of work, and I can relate to that.
I would
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that
I would go to
because you have some haters sometimes.
work at my office so that you know people wouldn't know what I was doing. Because I didn't want anybody thinking I wouldn't do my job. And then I never
Hmm.
forget one day my boss walked in and said, "Okay, Maria Howell, the singer." He saw me on television, so I couldn't hide it.
Oh wow.
I couldn't hide anymore. Yeah, I've had those days. I've had it where I've
Hmm.
had two singing gigs in the same day and an audition also. I mean, it gets to be crazy, but that doesn't happen every day. Goodness, it's good to know you can do it if you need to hustle, but you learn the word no very quickly
Yeah,
if you're smart. I learned how to
definitely.
discern and not kill myself. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Hmm. So, Maria, you have a question from one of our viewers, Edwin, who is a loyal fan of the Angela Ray Show. Can you see that question on your screen?
I think, am I reading this question?
Yes, I thought maybe you were reading it silently
Is
before
that a question
answering.
for
Yeah,
that
that's a
again?
question for you. Yes, it's a question for you.
Let me see if I can. It says, "What is your opinion?" Forgive me for squinting. What is your opinion of non-singers being praised and rewarded for singing in a style that has roots in our community and culture? My opinion is that history, a song called History Repeating. This is nothing new. And the way I feel about it is some kind of way sometimes. Um, because we work hard and I guess what I'm trying to say, that's a whole other issue that would be a whole other show. Because if we don't, oh, that's a loaded one. That's a loaded one. Let me make it simple as possible. I'm with it, but I and in the world of it's unfair to us and fair to somebody else. I don't look at it that way anymore. I used to, but I realize mine is going to be mine. What's theirs is going to be theirs. But at the same time, it makes me feel like, wow, you know, wow. I feel, what's fair? What's fair?
Right.
I feel some kind of way sometimes. I hope that answered the question without too far
Yeah.
around the mountain.
Well, Maria, aside from your weekly show that you are doing on Facebook, what's coming up next for you?
Mhm. So besides the weekly Facebook, what's the question again?
What's coming up next for you? Do you have a project that we may be seeing you in that's going to be broadcast soon, or is there something that's streaming now that we can catch you in action in?
Well, you can always go and get our music. That's always going to be ongoing. But two things. Like I said, voiceover work has been a big part of my career, especially in the most recent 10 years. So I've got some good stuff coming up with animation. I've been still doing interactive video games as well, but I've got something really exciting on the horizon for animation where I'm voicing a character cartoon.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Also, yeah, it is because I look at cartoons almost every day. So I've always been a huge fan of cartoons and TV cartoons especially. Love cartoons. So
Mhm.
that's like a dream come true. Plus taking this streaming to another phase, as we're all coming sheltering in place. So there is going to look a little different, but we hope to take it to that next level because if you do these things, your tools get sharper and you realize you do a TV show. So keep your eyes and ears open for
Mhm.
things like that.
Okay. So I have Maria's website scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you go to mariahowell.com, you can definitely check out. She has multiple projects listed on there. So just click on music and it will take you to her music selection. And you can actually see some great videos of her in action as well. Any final thoughts, Maria, before because I know that you have a very busy schedule. You actually had a performance earlier this afternoon. So I appreciate
Well,
you taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us.
well, thank you for having me. And I earlier I got a call, last minute call, world right now, and our hearts are broken and everybody's heavy. So I do my best to give people a lighter moment. But I got called today
Hmm.
in song on a show that airs called Charlotte After Dark, CLT After Dark. I stopped what I got in my car, went and did that, and it was a good experience to be able to do something through song and do some small part, but it's a heavy time, and I
It
see
is
tears.
definitely a heavy time.
Yeah, very very heavy time, and I just wish everybody love and peace inside. Prayer changes things. I'm a very very strong believer in prayer, so.
Oh, it absolutely does. Absolutely does. Well, again, Maria, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on the Angela Ray Show to kick off our series in honor of Black Music Month, and we look forward to seeing you on the big screen as well as listening to your voice and song as well as animation.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too, honey. Take care and God bless you and
All
much
right.
continued success.
Thank you. All right, that's it for tonight's Angela Ray Show. Um, just want to take the time to say that my thoughts and prayers are not only with the family of Mr. George Floyd, but all of those who have been victims of police violence, not just in our the last month or so, but this has been an issue that we have seen play out time and time again for many years. So my thoughts and prayers are with their families as well as with those who are on the front lines trying to activate change. And that's it for this Monday edition of the Angela Ray Show. As always, I would like to remind you of Ray of Motivation number 54, which is extremely appropriate for tonight. And that is cleaning a mirror will not change the person who is reflected in it. Until next time, I encourage you to go out and be the change.